Hey, seems like you found the hidden video. Welcome and well done. Look at the weather today. Hey, Honeybell. It's gloomy, stormy, and foggy. There you go. Well, first of all, congratulations on finding this episode's hidden video. If you don't know what these are, I have one hidden video in every single episode of the Adventure Diaries, and I'm using them to broaden the story, tell you more about a specific topic that I think deserves more storytelling. And if you have never seen these before, I urge you to go into the last episode and try and find the hidden video within that. And I'll give you a little tip. Come to the land's end, and I'll have a story to lend. A little riddle for you to work out. Right, let's get into today's topic. Now, I want to touch more upon the village of Mousehole and that story that one of the villagers was telling us. I want to talk a bit more about that. Now when you listen to the villager there, he was talking about how Mousehole was invaded and how the village was burnt right down to the ground. And that was part of the Battle of Cornwall, which was within the Anglo-Spanish War from 1585 to 1604. And this specific invasion was in 1595, and the Spaniards, they invaded Mousehole and they attacked it brutally. Now, the defence forces that were meant to protect Mousehole and the whole of Cornwall through this battle, they fled from the Spanish. They didn't want to get involved, and so that left the whole coast to be exposed to these invasions. And when the Spaniards came, 400 Spanish soldiers invaded the town, and they burnt it to the ground. And what the villager was saying is that almost all the houses, a lot of the houses, a lot of the village was part of processing fish and pilchards. And they had a lot of this fish oil, so all the lower floors of these houses almost acted as factories, and the upper floors, the upstairs, were the homes. So you had a house upstairs and a factory downstairs, and in that factory they were processing pilchards, processing these fish, and the whole floor, the whole walls, everything within the lower floor was covered in pilchard oil and fish oil. And when the Spanish came with their fire and they lit the whole place up, it just went up like wildfire. The oil just made this go up almost like fuel. It was acting as a fuel. And as the villagers said, all the houses had thatched roofs, and these thatched roofs, they're made of wood, and so the houses just went up in flames and burnt right down to the ground. And where we were talking to the villager was the pub. That sort of house, that architecture, that was the pub. It's not a pub anymore, it is now a house, and we talked to the owner of the house. I couldn't show him on film, but he was definitely willing enough to grab an audio clip for us for the episode, and I think that was awesome of him. But yeah, we chatted to the owner of the home, which used to be the pub, and that was the only standing building of the whole village after the invasion, and that pub was the only survivor. All the other houses, all the other areas of Mousehole were rebuilt. Now, in the end, just for a bit of context with the Battle of Cornwall, this leader called Francis Godolphin, he offered resistance, but it was too late. It was too late to save Mousehole. But in the end, that did make the Spanish flee back to Spain and leave the Battle of Cornwall. And to this day, when the fishermen are dragging their nets along the seabed and within the harbour, they're still pulling up huge cannonballs from the defences and from the Spanish firing cannons into Mousehole. And the funny thing is, the man, the owner of the house, he said that every single cannonball that they find, they give to the owner of the house, because that was the only standing building left, and they think it's only right to give these cannonballs that they find in the ocean back to the owner. And I just thought I'd give you a bit more context on that whole thing. We didn't really touch upon it too much in the episode because it's all this fast-paced moving about. And I just wanted to talk a bit more about it. It's a cool thing that happened in history. Not so cool back then, but definitely something to remember and think about. And learn a bit more about the history of sort of Cornwall, the Battle of Cornwall, and the history of the UK with all these wars years and years and years ago. But that's sort of how our modern day society, that's how we live in such a privileged world now. If we didn't have these wars like that, we wouldn't be living in such a safe environment here in Cornwall right now. It might be so different. So it's interesting to hear about that, more of the history side of things than the environmental side and the nature side, but I am interested in that too. I'm definitely interested in this sort of history side of my area, and it's brilliant to learn a bit more about it with this trip. And if you do look at Mousehole, there's a lot more history behind it other than wars and battles. There was even a lifeboat disaster, much like the SS Suvik, but sadly that wasn't as lucky, and a lot of people did die from that lifeboat disaster. It's called the Penley lifeboat disaster. If you want to look it up, you can check it out. We did see the memorial as we walked to Mousehole. That was part of it. But there is a lot to Mousehole that is not as it seems. It's not just a beautiful, wonderful little village, my favourite village for sure. It's had to go through tough times to make such a wonderful village now. And it's cool to think about it. So just wanted to let you know about that little story that is of interest to me, and I think it'll be interest to you. So I hope to see you in next week's hidden video for the finale episode. Oh, that is crazy. It's been a long time making this series, and the finale will be absolutely crazy. So thank you so much for your support. I appreciate it, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.